Hey guys, I'm not a fitness coach. I know that sounds strange coming from someone who's standing in a gym with 2 decades of coaching behind them, but I need you to hear that clearly and right up front. Because if you think that's what this is, you're gonna miss what's actually happening here. I'm not here to sell you a program, I'm not here to give you a meal plan, and I'm not even here to motivate you. I've watched motivation fail people for 20 years. Brilliant people, disciplined people, people who dominated in high pressure environments, who built careers and families and full lives, and still they couldn't figure out why nothing they tried in the gym ever stuck. And that used to confuse me, but I've got to be honest with you, it doesn't anymore. Early in my coaching career, I did what I was trained to do. I served in the Army, I learned discipline from the inside out. And when I transitioned into fitness coaching, I brought that same energy, structure, standards, accountability, but what I was still thinking like was a trainer. Sets, reps, macros, periodization, all of it was technically correct. All of it was backed by certification. I worked super hard in my CrossFit endeavors with precision nutrition, with certification after certification, years of applied practice with real people. And some people got results, but the thing that never set right with me was a lot of people did. And on years of reflection, I realized that the ones who didn't, they all had something in common. Those guys were trying to fix their body without touching who they were. Now, I think that's a thing that not enough people are talking about in our industry. Nobody really wants to say it out loud because it's uncomfortable, because it means that the problem may not be the program, it could be the frame. I think it is the frame. Now, here's what the fitness industry sells you. They sell you tactics, a new workout, a better diet, a smarter supplement stack, a 12-week transformation challenge that's gonna reset every January, like none of the previous years ever happened. And I'm not saying that those are totally worthless. Some of them are genuinely useful and well done, but tactics without identity are just expensive hobbies. I've seen it hundreds of times. Someone kills it for 8 weeks, then disappears. Someone loses 30 pounds and gains it back plus 10. Someone has every tool available, a gym membership, a nutrition app, a trainer, a plan, and they still can't make it consistent. And it's not really a willpower problem. It's not a discipline problem. What it is a framing problem. They're trying to build a new life on top of an identity that never updated. You know what I never heard a single coach ask in all of my years coming up through the industry, and maybe it's my fault, but who were you at your best? Not how much did you weigh, not what were your numbers, not what size were you wearing, who were you? How did you show up? What did you expect of yourself? What standard did you hold without even thinking about it? Because it was just who you were. That's the question that'll change everything. That's the question that I start with now. A few years into running my own facility, I started building something. It's not really a program, it's more like it was a framework. And I stole the name from a good mentor friend of mine named Chris Cooper. He uses it in his 2-brain called SIM, Sleep, Eating, Move, Mindset. I'd been doing it for years, and he just gave me an acronym to throw onto it, and it's brilliant, right? And here's why that order of sleeping, eating, moving, and mindset matters. Most people, they walk into a gym and they go straight to the move, right? That's where the industry points you. Work out harder, train more, push through. But the truth is, if you haven't slept well in like 3 years, your cortisol level's through the roof. It's wrecked. Your recovery is compromised. Your body's operating in a stress state before you ever even touch a barbell. And if your nutrition is built around convenience and survival instead of intention, then you're fueling a machine that's already running on fumes. Now, how about up top? If your mindset's still carrying this old story around inside it about who you are, the one that says you've lost it, that it's too late, that this is just what happens with age, then no program on earth is going to override that narrative for long. And then we come along, and so sleep becomes first out of our order, right? Everything builds on recovery. Eat comes second, because you cannot out-train a broken fuel system. Move comes third because now it will actually work. Mindset's coming in at the end, not because it's the least important, it's the most important, but because mindset without the physical foundation underneath it could just be positive thinking, and positive thinking all by itself will not change your body. So I want you to think of our SIM as, it's not really a checklist per se. It's more like an operating system, right? And most people have been skipping straight to the move step, right to step 3 their entire lives. So I'm going to describe someone. Maybe it's you. This person was capable once. Maybe they were an athlete. Maybe they served in the military. Maybe they're just someone who took care of themselves without thinking too hard about it, because it may have came naturally, and life had a certain structure around them that supported this version of themselves. Then that structure changed, right? Maybe their career got demanding, their family got bigger, stress started to get louder, sleep started to get shorter, and somewhere in the middle of building a life, you looked up and realized that there's a gap between who you were and who you now are, and that gap has gotten wide, right? I think it's important to know that you're not a lost cause. You're not lazy. And thinking of it like you failed is not necessarily true. I want you to reframe it a bit and think like you've been running without a system, in a direction that the industry told you to run, towards outcomes that were never gonna hold because they were never attached to anything real. Don't look at this like a character flaw. It's a design flaw in how most people are taught to approach this thing called fitness or health and fitness. Now, if that resonates with you, this show is gonna be dead on for you. Not because I'm gonna give you the answer wrapped up in an episode, because I've spent 20 years helping people find that answer, and I know something most coaches will not say. The version of you that you've been missing is not gone. It is waiting under the weight of the wrong approach, the wrong frame, and years of being sold tactics, when what you actually need is just a reckoning. That's what reclamation is. That's what we're gonna do here. Now, every episode of this show is gonna end the exact same way with something that I wanna call the standard. It's not a motivational woo-woo quote, not a feel-good send-off. It's a single line that I want you to carry with you. Think of it as something to measure yourself against. And here's episode 1 standard. The version of you that you're ashamed of right now is not your identity. It is a detour. The road back exists, and that's what we're gonna do here, is find it. I am Rob Best. This is Rebuild and Rise. I'll see you guys next week.